Hey everybody, it is late at night and I am Norman. I have a few searches out there looking for vintage Hamilton dress watches, and I just recently found one. Check that thing out. Tonight we're going to be reviewing the first square watch that I've ever owned. So let us begin. Here is the brilliant little Hamilton watch that I just purchased. It was listed as a Hamilton Scott 1966. And in the 50s and 60s, Hamilton did some really cool space age, atomic age, kind of Jetsons looking watches. Some of them have asymmetrical cases, and those are actually the watches that I've been keeping my eyes open for. And this happened to show up in one of those searches. This one's a bit more tame, as you can see, a little bit more dressy. However, if you look at the sides of the case here, you get a hint of some of that space age stuff that they do with their other watches. However, this one is nice and symmetrical. I do own square watches, however, those are my Casios, like my F91W. I've never owned a square dress watch before. I've had tank watches that are rectangular, but this is the first square. It's kind of tough to get the lighting right. As you can see, these indices kind of vanish a little bit. So I will try and keep that as visible as possible for you. But let us dive into reviewing this watch. This is what it shipped in. Kind of a generic box. I don't know if this is the original box. It looks like it's in pretty good shape, so probably not. It was on a pillow with some bubble wrap in there. But it's kind of cool that it came in a box. A lot of times when I buy vintage watches like this, they'll be bubble wrapped and put in a baggie or something. And the seller was cool enough to give me 2 additional straps, both in amazing condition. They've barely been worn at all, if at all. So that's pretty cool. And the strap that it came on is in really good shape as well. So I've just left this strap on. When it arrived, this keeper here was not on the strap. But fortunately, it was in the baggie with the other 2 straps. I actually haven't even had to swap out the buckle because it just fits perfectly. And this watch looks so great on alligator. Oh, unfortunately, the lugs are odd widths. These are 17 millimeters apart. And looking at the lugs, they are tiny and just kind of vanish into the design. The rest of the watch is definitely the focus. And then coming up to the case itself, this watch is pretty small, but it is also thin at 10 millimeters, and that includes this crystal, which kind of rises up like that. A good 1.5 millimeters or more. Looking at this from the other side. Nice curve to it here, which makes the watch appear even thinner. You can see that it curves this way as well. Everything on it just kind of curves down, a lot like the Bolton, which is really cool. According to the seller, the crystal is new, which I would believe. This is in really good shape. And I guess the crown is new as well. So this is not the original crown. Alright, so let's see what it's like using it. The movement feels really smooth when you're winding it. You can definitely tell that it's vintage, but it feels like decent quality. Alright, that is all powered up. Let's pop this out and try setting the time. Now when you pop it out, it's not a real stark click there. It kind of... oh, that time it was, but sometimes when you're pulling it out, it'll kind of move and then click. But alright. The hands have some resistance to them, which is nice to feel. It's always a little bit creepy when you're setting it and they just move without any resistance. Almost like if you blew on that crown, they would start setting the time. And they don't jump at all, which is cool. Looking at the case back, it's brushed kind of, a little bit polished around here, and this center area is brushed. It is completely sterile, and we have the lip there for the case knife. Looking at this crystal, it is gorgeous. So much fun. I now own 2 watches that kind of have this style of crystal where it just looks like a thick piece of glass kind of stuck on there and it sticks up beyond the case. It's not really rounded at all like a box crystal or anything. This one just looks great. There's even some distortion that you'll notice every now and then. Just really cool looking crystal here. Now, one thing you'll notice is there are dots here on this crystal, and I'm not sure if that is on the inside of it. You can see that one dot appears to be on the dial itself. So when I'm feeling brave enough, I may have to open this thing up and kind of blow that inside out a bit. Looks like there's kind of dust maybe in there. But I love the old school Hamilton logo there. And we see that there are applied indices for 12, 3, and 9. And those are really cool. And we have some batten markers there in a sub-second style, which I feel kind of adds to sort of the atomic look, the atomic age vibe of this watch. The hands are pointed, kind of spear hands there. And this watch is really quiet. You really have to get your ear on this watch to hear it ticking at all. But absolutely gorgeous. As for the specifications on this watch, this is a Hamilton Scott 1966. The case is 26 millimeters. The case height is 10 millimeters. The lug to lug is 36 millimeters. The lug width is 17 millimeters. The crystal is sapphire. And I'm not sure what movement is in this, but it is a manual wound mechanical movement. The listing stated it has 17 joules. So let me take off my Cartier homage, my Katina, and we'll look at this amazing Hamilton on the wrist. And just check that out. This watch is absolutely gorgeous. And the vintage vibes of this watch are extra strong. So cool and fun. Now I put this on the time grapher to see how it was doing. The listing stated that it had been serviced in 2022, and I actually believe that. However, this watch is not doing well. It is extremely slow, but the amplitude is great at nearly 300, and on the visual accuracy display, there was absolutely no noise, really strong line, but it is very, very slow. It is at least 2 minutes slow per day. So I definitely do need to get it serviced myself by someone that I trust, but I think for now, I might try regulating it and see if I can get it running more accurate than that and reduce the beat error on it. And that should work until I can get it serviced. I've got a couple other watches that I have to service first. The Olympos, the Wittnauer. So until it's this watch's turn, I feel like regulating it might help out. Hopefully I don't break it or ruin it. Maybe, while I'm at it, I can try getting rid of some of that dust. I don't know. I'm not sure I'll be brave enough to do that. This was actually kind of expensive. I paid about $300 for this. Hamiltons are not always cheap, the vintage pieces. And yeah, I kind of accidentally won this auction. I figured it would go for more, but threw out a bid anyway. And I ended up winning it. I love it. That is so cool looking. So there you have it, a beautiful but sadly sick vintage Hamilton dress watch. This piece is so much fun and just looks absolutely amazing. Thanks for watching.